Dallas police say this 17-year-old girl was killed by her 17-year-old boyfriend just 3 weeks after she gave birth. We now have his arrest affidavit. It includes brand new details, including the painful fact Ikea Hood's mother is who discovered her dead body. Ikea, again, was only 17, a dancer, gave birth just 3 weeks ago to that baby girl she was so excited to raise. Police have charged her boyfriend, 17-year-old Trayvon Wright, with her murder.
The bedroom door was locked from the inside. A mother stood in the hallway of her Dallas home, knocking frantically after hearing what sounded like a thunderclap from her daughter's room. No answer. Just silence, where laughter should have been. Desperate, she raced outside, circling to the window, finding it open, screen pushed outward. What she discovered inside would forever divide her life into before and after. Welcome to Shadows of Crime. If you're new here, hit subscribe now, because the dark truth we're about to explore could save someone you love. January 7th, 2024. A Sunday morning that began like any other in Southeast Oak Cliff. 17-year-old Ikea Hood had asked her mother for privacy. She needed to have an important conversation with someone, a conversation about results that had arrived in the mail days earlier. "Just give us a little time alone," she'd said. "I need to tell him face to face." Her mother agreed, never suspecting those would be among the last words they'd exchange. Ikea wasn't just any teenager. Her movements on the Lancaster High School Tigerette drill team had coaches predicting a bright future in dance. Her laughter-filled rooms, her determination inspired everyone around her, and just 3 weeks earlier, she'd become something else. A mother to a baby girl named Iceland. But motherhood brought complications. Complications that now sat across from her in her bedroom, waiting to hear what was so important it couldn't be said over the phone. 10:30 a.m. A sound like no other. Then silence. By the time first responders arrived at Grambling Drive, they found a scene that veteran Dallas police officers would struggle to process. A young mother still in the bloom of adolescence, her future violently erased. A window suggesting hasty escape, and a trail of evidence leading to someone who, just months earlier, had sworn to always protect her. What happened in those final moments between Ikea and her visitor? What words were exchanged before the trigger was pulled? And how could a relationship between two teenagers culminate in such violence? As news of the shooting spread through Lancaster High School, students collapsed in hallways. Dance team members gathered in stunned circles, unable to comprehend that their vibrant teammate was gone. And in a nursery just 3 weeks new, a baby girl cried for a mother who would never return. The investigation would soon uncover a history between Ikea and her ex-boyfriend that few had fully understood, a relationship marked by intense highs and dangerous lows. But what pushed this particular Sunday morning interaction past the point of no return? The answer lay in an envelope. Inside, results that would change everything. But what exactly did that envelope contain? And why would its contents be worth killing for? Before she became a headline, Ikea Hood was a force of nature in the hallways of Lancaster High School. Students would often pause between classes to watch her practice dance moves, her body flowing with a grace that seemed impossible for someone so young. As a junior and star performer on the Tigerette drill team, Ikea commanded attention not through loudness, but through the quiet perfection of her movements. When Ikea danced, you couldn't look away, recalled one of her instructors. She had this ability to make difficult routines appear effortless. That's rare, especially in someone who was just 17. But Ikea's talents extended beyond school grounds. At the Next Level community dance group in Dallas, she quickly established herself as someone to watch. Instructors noted her exceptional work ethic.
Ikea Hood, a junior at Lancaster High, a talented dancer and member of the school's Tigerette drill team.
She wanted to graduate, go to college, dance on the collegiate level, and she really had that ability and could have definitely accomplished that goal.
Her hunger to grow was insatiable. At home, Ikea was the vibrant center of a large, loving family. As one of 8 siblings, she learned early how to stand out while still being a team player. Family gatherings showcased her playful side, the serious dancer transformed into the goofy sister who organized impromptu talent shows in the living room and taught her younger siblings routines she'd created herself. Family meant everything to her, her mother Tekoya Lester shared. Kia was the one who remembered everyone's birthdays, who made sure nobody felt left out. She was our connector. Her siblings described a sister who could shift from confidant to comedian in seconds. She lived by a simple philosophy: family rises together. Dance wasn't just an activity for Kia, it was her planned future. Notebooks filled with choreography ideas lined her shelves. Videos of college dance teams occupied her watch history. She researched scholarship opportunities and spoke openly about her dream to join a prestigious collegiate program after graduation. She had the talent to go professional, her high school dance director admitted. We were already discussing which college programs would best nurture her abilities. Her potential was limitless. Then, in December 2023, Kia's life expanded in an unexpected direction. The birth of her daughter Ice-Lynn added a new dimension to her dreams. While many might have seen teenage motherhood as an obstacle, Kia viewed it as additional motivation. "Watch me show my daughter what's possible," she told friends after returning from the hospital. "I'm going to dance on bigger stages now, because she'll be watching." In the 3 weeks between Ice-Lynn's birth and that fatal January morning, Kia transformed her bedroom into a space where motherhood and artistry coexisted. A crib stood beside her dance trophies. Baby clothes shared drawer space with dance leotards. She would gently rock Ice-Lynn while watching dance competitions, whispering to her newborn about the moves they would one day practice together. Her phone gallery revealed this new chapter: videos of choreography interspersed with her daughter's first smiles, dance costume ideas alongside baby outfits. She created a special playlist, gentle songs for Ice-Lynn that still had enough rhythm for Kia to practice subtle movements while holding her child. Becoming a mother didn't diminish her dreams, it amplified them, her sister explained. Kia started planning further ahead, talking about opening her own dance studio someday, where young mothers could bring their children while they practiced. For 17 brief years, Ikea Hood moved through the world with purpose and joy. For 3 precious weeks, she embraced motherhood with the same passion she brought to dance. She never saw these paths as contradictory, but as complementary rhythms in the same beautiful performance. A performance that should have continued for decades to come. The relationship between Ikea Hood and Trevon Wright contained warning signs that only became clear in retrospect. According to Hood's family, Ikea and Wright had been in an on-again, off-again relationship for approximately 2 years. This pattern of breaking up and reconciling created an unstable foundation, one that would ultimately contribute to the tragedy that unfolded on January 7th. More concerning than their inconsistent status was what Hood's family later revealed to reporters. There was a documented history of domestic violence between the young couple. While the specific incidents weren't detailed in police reports released to the public, this history established a critical context for understanding the events that led to Hood's death. "My best advice is to leave and talk to somebody and get the help," Hood's sister would later tell reporters, her words carrying the weight of painful hindsight. The relationship took a significant turn when Hood became pregnant. For months, Wright believed he was the father of Hood's baby. He appeared to embrace the role of father-to-be, at least publicly. This perception of impending fatherhood became central to his identity and his connection to Hood. Then came the revelation that would change everything. A paternity test conducted sometime after baby Ice-Lynn's birth in December 2023 determined that Wright was not the biological father. This scientific fact would shatter the foundation of their already volatile relationship. According to statements Hood's mother gave to police, Ikea had planned to tell Wright about the paternity test results on Sunday, January 7th, the very day she was killed. This timing suggests that Wright had not yet been officially informed about the test results, though speculation about whether he suspected the truth remains part of the investigation. The Dallas police affidavit confirmed this timeline, noting that Hood had planned to tell Wright this news on Sunday, her mother told police. This planned conversation would never reach its intended conclusion. What makes this case particularly tragic is that Hood invited Wright to her home specifically to share this sensitive information. Despite their troubled history, she apparently felt safe enough to have this difficult conversation in her bedroom, with family members elsewhere in the house. The decision to share such life-altering news in a private setting, despite the couple's history of domestic issues, highlights a dangerous misconception many victims of relationship violence share: the belief that their intimate knowledge of their partner gives them special ability to manage that person's reactions, even to devastating news. Experts in domestic violence point out that separation and rejection are often the most dangerous moments in abusive relationships, when an abuser feels their control slipping away. Particularly through public humiliation or perceived betrayal, the risk of violence increases dramatically. In this case, the paternity revelation represented multiple losses for Wright: the role of father he had anticipated for months, his connection to Hood through their child, and potentially his self-image and public standing among peers and family. For young people in volatile relationships, paternity disputes create particularly dangerous situations. The combination of immaturity, intense emotions, questions of masculinity and reputation, and potential financial obligations creates a perfect storm of triggers that can escalate to violence when not properly managed in a safe environment. Hood's family later emphasized their desire for her to be remembered not for how she died, but for who she truly was. She was beautiful, she was a beautiful soul, very vibrant, the life of the party, her sister told reporters. My sister was excited for her new journey of becoming a mother and growing a bond with all her siblings. This focus on Hood's vibrant personality and future plans stands in stark contrast to the relationship dynamics that ultimately led to her death. While she saw motherhood as a beginning, a new journey full of possibility, Wright apparently viewed the paternity revelation as an ending that demanded response. The stage was set for their final conversation on January 7th. Hood, just 3 weeks into motherhood, prepared to share difficult news with someone who had been part of her life for 2 years. She likely hoped for understanding, perhaps even continued connection, despite the biological reality. What she couldn't have anticipated was that this conversation about new beginnings would become her end. As Sunday morning dawned in Dallas, Hood readied herself to have what would undoubtedly be a challenging discussion. She had her family nearby. She had her 3-week-old daughter safely in another room. She thought she had prepared for every possibility, except the one that walked through her door with deadly intentions. January 7th dawned unusually warm for a Dallas winter. By 9 a.m., Ikea had already fed Iselin, changed her, and placed her in the nursery under her grandmother's watchful eye. Unlike most mornings when music flowed from her room as she practiced dance routines, Kia's bedroom remained quiet. She spent nearly an hour choosing her outfit, settling on a Lancaster High sweatshirt and jeans before standing before her mirror, rehearsing words only she could hear. Her phone buzzed at 9:47 a.m. A text from Wright. "I'm outside." Kia glanced toward the nursery where Iselin slept peacefully, unaware that her mother's next decision would forever alter both their lives. Have you ever had a feeling of dread before something happened? That inexplicable sense that something was wrong? If you're watching this, drop a comment about whether you believe in such premonitions. They might save your life someday. He's here," Kia called out, her voice steadier than her hands. "We'll be in my room. It shouldn't take long." She watched them disappear down the hallway, the bedroom door closing with a soft click that would haunt her memories. 10:05 a.m. The door locked from inside. What happened in that room over the next 25 minutes can only be pieced together through forensic evidence, neighbor testimonies, and the partial conversation overheard by Kia's younger brother, who passed by the door twice while retrieving items from the bathroom. According to his statement, the first time he walked past around 10:15, the voices inside were controlled but tense. "You knew all along, didn't you?" Wright's voice, accusatory. "No, I didn't. I thought—" Kaya's response cut short. "Don't lie to me, not anymore." The second time, approximately 5 minutes later, the tone had escalated dramatically. "Everyone's laughing at me. My own family looks at me different now." "Nobody's laughing, Trevon. This doesn't have to change everything between us. You made me believe that baby was mine for 9 months." Then came words that would prove prophetic. "Lower your voice. You're scaring me." What no one outside that room knew was that Wright had arrived with dual purposes: confrontation and elimination of what he perceived as humiliation. The gun, a .38 caliber revolver obtained 2 days earlier, sat heavy in his jacket pocket throughout the conversation. As Kia attempted to salvage some form of connection between them, Wright's hand repeatedly touched the weapon. His mind already made up before he'd even arrived. The exact moment when discussion transformed into deadly action remains unclear. Did Kia see the gun before it was raised? Did she have time to recognize the danger? Did she try to escape? The only certainty is what happened at precisely 10:30 a.m. A single gunshot, so loud it caused the neighbor's dog to bark 3 houses away. Inside the Hood residence, time fractured. Tekoya Lester, who had been folding laundry while watching Icelyn, froze mid-masha. Her son dropped his video game controller. For 2 heartbeats, the household remained suspended in disbelief. That sound couldn't possibly be what they feared. Then came the mother's desperate sprint down the hallway. "Kia? Ikea?" Her fists pounded against the locked door. No response. She tried the handle repeatedly, rattling it with increasing force. Nothing. The silence from within proved more terrifying than any sound could have been. What happened next showcased the instinctive power of maternal fear. Rather than waiting for the door to be broken down, Tekoya raced outside, circling to the bedroom window. There she discovered the screen pushed outward onto the grass, evidence of a hasty escape. Through the open window, she saw a scene no mother should ever witness. Kia lay motionless beside her bed, blood pooling beneath her chest, eyes open but unseeing. The room showed signs of a brief struggle: a knocked-over lamp, a chair pushed askew, a phone with its screen shattered on the floor. But of Wright there was no sign. Only the curtains still swaying from his escape through the window revealed how recently he'd fled. 10:40 a.m., the first police cruiser arrived at Grambling Drive, responding to a frantic 911 call. Officers found Tekoya cradling her daughter's body, having climbed through the window herself. Refusing to believe what her eyes told her was true, paramedics pronounced Ikea Hood dead at the scene. A single gunshot wound to the chest, fired at close range. As investigators processed the room, one detective noticed something clutched in Kia's hand, so tightly that her fingers had to be gently pried open to retrieve it. A crumpled photograph of Icelyn, taken just days after her birth. Her final instinct had been to hold on to what mattered most. Outside, neighbors gathered in shocked clusters as news spread through the community. Inside, a 3-week-old baby began to cry, as if somehow sensing that the voice that had soothed her since birth would never speak again. And somewhere in Dallas, a 17-year-old boy ran with a smoking gun and the delusional belief that he had restored his honor by erasing the messenger of an unwelcome truth. The hunt for Trevon Wright had begun. As crime scene technicians photographed Ikea's bedroom, investigators noted something telling about the blood pattern on the floor. Unlike typical shooting scenes, this pattern suggested movement after the injury, as if Kia had tried to crawl towards something. Following the trail, it led not toward the door or window, but toward the small desk where she kept photos of Icelyn. She wasn't trying to escape, one officer noted. She was reaching for her daughter's picture. Outside, the neighborhood around Grambling Drive near University Hills Boulevard and East Wheatland Road transformed into a grid search operation. Officers tracked Wright's path from the residence but found no immediate trace of him. The Dallas Police Department issued a statement confirming that 17-year-old Ikea Hood had been shot and killed at the location, dying at the scene. By nightfall, the investigation had gathered enough evidence to identify Wright as the primary suspect. Police sources confirmed to local news station WFAA that Wright had been believed to be the father of Hood's newborn baby, but according to Hood's mother, the child was not his. This critical detail established a clear motive for the shooting. Hood had planned to tell Wright this news on Sunday, the police statement indicated, confirming what Tequoia Lester had told investigators about her daughter's intentions that morning. The Dallas Police Department moved swiftly, issuing an arrest warrant for Wright on January 8th, just one day after the shooting. The warrant charged the 17-year-old with murder, setting in motion an intensive manhunt throughout the Dallas area. Law enforcement resources mobilized across agencies, with U.S. Marshals joining the search for the teenage suspect. Their coordinated efforts paid off when Wright was located and apprehended on January 9th, approximately 48 hours after the shooting. The details of his capture weren't released to the public, but jail records confirmed he was booked into the Dallas County Jail Tuesday morning. The arrest affidavit revealed the sequence of events that led to Hood's death. Her mother hearing a noise around 10:30 a.m., finding the bedroom door locked, discovering the window open with its screen pushed outside, and finding her daughter with a fatal gunshot wound. These details painted a clear picture of both the crime and Wright's hasty escape from the scene. What drives a teenager to commit such a violent act after learning he isn't the father of a child? The case exposed a dangerous reality about how rejection can trigger deadly responses in unstable relationships. When someone builds their identity around a particular role, like becoming a father, and that identity is suddenly stripped away, the psychological impact can be devastating, explained a domestic violence expert familiar with similar cases. For individuals who already struggle with control issues, this kind of revelation can feel like public humiliation that demands a response. Hood's family later revealed that the relationship between Ikea and Wright had been troubled for some time. Ikea and her boyfriend were on and off again for a couple of years, and there was a history of domestic violence between them, Hood's sister told reporters, highlighting warning signs that had been present but perhaps not fully recognized. This pattern of escalating control and violence is tragically common in cases that end in homicide. What begins as jealousy or possessiveness gradually intensifies until a triggering event, in this case the paternity revelation, pushes the situation beyond the breaking point. As Wright faced his murder charge with a $500,000 bond, the community grappled with a painful question. How many warning signs had been missed? And how many other young women might be in relationships where similar dangers lurked beneath the surface?
Her loved ones gathered at the school to celebrate her life. Fox 4's Rebecca Butcher, live tonight just outside Dallas with more. Rebecca.
Steve, this evening's balloon release was all about celebrating the spirit of Ikea Hood. Her family tells me that this tragedy has only brought them closer together. After a moment of silence, dozens of balloons were released Wednesday outside of Lancaster High School, where murder victim Ikea Hood, a junior, attended school.
And this is amazing. She just let me know, she left an impact on everybody. It's just her name alone. You say Ikea, and this is what it is.
Tequoia Lester is Hood's mom. Sunday morning, she found her daughter suffering from a gunshot wound in a bedroom of her home on Grambling Drive in southeast Oak Cliff. Tuesday, Dallas police say Hood's suspected killer, 17-year-old Trayvon Wright, was arrested by U.S. Marshals and booked into the Dallas County Jail.
So I know that her spirit is still here with us, just like with all these people being here.
According to Wright's arrest warrant affidavit, the suspect and Hood had been in an on-again, off-again dating relationship for the past 2 years. The documents say Hood recently learned her newborn daughter had not been fathered by suspect Wright. She planned to confess to Wright the day she was murdered. The affidavit says Lester told police she heard a loud noise in the room where Wright and Hood were, and when she went to check on them, she found her daughter shot and Wright was gone.
The investigation continued, but for Ikea's family, no legal outcome could restore what had been taken from them in those fatal moments on Grambling Drive. The Monday morning after Ikea's death, Lancaster High School fell silent. The official announcement confirmed what many students had already seen spreading across social media. Ikea Hood, junior class member, and Tigerette drill team performer had been killed. Within hours, the school's hallways transformed. Kia's locker disappeared beneath flowers. handwritten notes and photos of her mid-dance. Teammates taped her competition number to the wall above. Someone had placed her drill team boots at the base, polished to perfection, as she would have wanted them. Her death represents a great loss for our district, Lancaster Independent School District officials stated in their formal announcement. We will be providing counseling and grief services for students and staff members impacted by this tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers are with her entire family and the Lancaster High School community. Those counseling rooms filled immediately. Dance team members huddled together, unable to imagine practices without her. Teachers who had watched Kia's academic performance improve alongside her dance skills sat stunned at their desks. Even students who had only known her in passing felt the weight of potential extinguished too soon. She corrected my form once during practice, a freshman dancer recalled, tears streaming down her face. I was embarrassed, but then she stayed after to help me get it right. That's who she was. Tough but kind. On January 10th, just 3 days after the shooting, hundreds gathered on the school's practice field for a balloon release ceremony. The crowd formed a circle with Kia's family at the center. Her dance uniform was displayed on a stand, her competition medals hanging from the collar. As the balloons rose into the Texas sky, the reality of her absence finally seemed to settle over the community. As the community mourned, Kia's family faced an additional challenge, ensuring that 3-week-old Icelyn would know the mother taken from her.
I think, we're dealing with 2 kids that had a baby and emotions were high. I can't say it had something to do with domestic violence, but I wish I knew why he did what he did to my sister. I don't know.
For now, Hood's 7 siblings vow to rally around their baby niece.
She hasn't slept. She's not eating. She's missing her mom.
And seek justice for Ikea.
For other girls out there in relationships that may not be the best for them.
Please leave. Please leave. Anything I'm from the bottom of my heart, okay? I just planned my sister's funeral at 17. Please leave. Talk to your mom. Talk to your aunts. Talk to anybody in your family. Talk to somebody at school. Please get out of there.
In Dallas.
We love you, Kia. You are amazing, Kia.
Dance studios across Dallas expressed support, recognizing the potential lost when Kia's life ended. My best advice is to leave and talk to somebody and get the help, Hood's sister urged, when asked what message she wanted to share with other domestic violence victims. Her words carried the weight of hindsight and heartbreak, knowledge purchased at an unimaginable price. As Icelyn slept in her grandmother's arms during the balloon release, attendees couldn't help but notice how the infant's expressions sometimes mirrored her mother's. The same determined set of the jaw, the same curious eyes taking in the world around her. In that tiny face, Ikea Hood's legacy continued, breathing, moving, living, despite everything a bullet had tried to end. Ikea Hood's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a warning that might save lives. As we followed her final days, certain patterns emerged that experts identify as red flags in potentially lethal relationships. The on-again, off-again nature of Kia's relationship with Wright created a dangerous cycle of tension and release. This pattern often masks escalating control, with each reconciliation reinforcing the belief that love and conflict are inseparable. When a relationship repeatedly breaks and mends, the fracture lines grow deeper each time. What happened to Ikea represents an extreme outcome of a common problem, explains a domestic violence counselor. Young people often mistake jealousy and possessiveness for love and commitment. By the time they recognize the danger, they're already isolated from support systems. Warning signs were present. Wright's excessive texting when they were apart, his need to know her whereabouts, the emotional volatility that characterized their interactions. These behaviors don't appear overnight. They intensify gradually, making them difficult to recognize until they reach dangerous levels. For teenagers experiencing similar relationship patterns, resources exist that Kia might not have known about. The National Dating Abuse Helpline offers 24/7 tech support specifically designed for young people navigating relationship difficulties. School counselors are trained to provide confidential guidance without judgment. And in most communities, youth-based support groups create safe spaces where teens can speak openly about relationship concern. Young parents face additional vulnerabilities. The stress of parenthood can amplify existing relationship tensions, especially when paternity questions arise. Community health centers often provide not just medical care but also counseling services specifically for teenage parents navigating these complex waters. If you're watching from a place where you recognize these patterns in your own relationship, please understand, seeking help isn't betrayal, it's self-preservation. If you're watching as someone who knows a person in a volatile relationship, your awareness might be their lifeline. Communities protect vulnerable teens when they create environments where asking for help carries no shame. Schools can implement curriculum that teaches healthy relationship dynamics alongside academic subjects. Religious organizations, sports teams, and extracurricular groups can train adult leaders to recognize warning signs and intervene appropriately. What if someone had noticed Wright's growing obsession with control? What if Ikea had access to resources that might have helped her navigate the dangerous revelation of the paternity test? These questions have no satisfying answers, but they point toward prevention strategies that might protect the next young person facing similar circumstance. Ikea Hood's life mattered. Her dreams of dance, her love for her daughter, her connections to family and friends, all held immeasurable value. Her death reminds us that relationship safety isn't just about physical protection, but about recognizing each person's fundamental right to make choices without fear of violent reprisal. If this story has affected you, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you witnessed warning signs in relationships around you? What resources exist in your community for young people in troubled relationships? Your insights might guide someone towards safety. And if you're new to Shadows of Crime, subscribe now to join a community committed not just to exploring darkness, but to illuminating paths toward prevention and healing. Because every story we share carries the same message. What happened to Ikea Hood should never happen again.